Okay, sinibingelele nonke enikhona mina igama ngomzwe ekhaya kaNkosithabile siphuma kwi-organization esiyibiza ukuthi Nubian Exodus. The organization yakhona, the name Nubian, it is an old African empire, African civilization, abantu abamnyama, which also you find it eBhayibhelini. eBhayibhelini it is called Ukush, Psalm 68, and also when you read Acts chapter 8, the Ethiopian eunuch was a Nubian, that was a Cushite. So uNkulunkulu had promised ukuthi he's going to save those people in the New Testament. In Psalm 68, uNkulunkulu ukhuluma ngokuthi princes shall come out of Egypt and Cush shall stretch her hands unto God. So uNkulunkulu khona lapha he was talking about us black people ukuthi like he is going to save us. Mawufunda also uGenesis, uNkulunkulu talks about the Ukush, who was the father of Nimrod. Nimrod, we still remember, he was the one who led a rebellion against uNkulunkulu by building that tower. Yeah, so Nimrod was a black person. He was the one who led that rebellion. But ukubonisa ukuthi uNkulunkulu noMusa, he promised abantu like who come from that line kaKush ukuthi he's going to save them. Mangabe like isekele to Christ and then ezovala umhlaba. So the organization masibiza ukuthi Nubian Exodus, it is an organization ephuma masikhuluma ngeExodus, if you still remember ilentos the book of Exodus. Yes, Moses, yes. So baphuma Egypt and oppression, you see. So masithi the Nubian Exodus, it is black people moving outside of the oppressive Eurocentric values Christianity eyakhona. But yeah, ngiyabona ukuthi iyabathusa obhuti, but no, you can ask question after lapho. So i-talk namhlanje engizobe ngiyinikeza, it's going to be a talk that focuses on history yala eSouth Africa. So into khona is that what we are presently has to a large extent been influenced by izinto ezenzeka in the past, you see. So sihlala la eSoweto currently nalezi strata sinazo into ezinjalo is because of something that happened in the past ukuze kube khona iSoweto, you see. So ukuze kube khona eSouth Africa, ukuze kube khona lezikole esinazo, lamasonto esinawo, so kune history like ekhona, you know, eyenzeka in the past ukuze sikwazi ukuthi sibe nalezi zinto in the present. Manje sibheke like once waphuma nje la estrateni ngokusheshsha nje uzofika uthole isonto, uzobona isonto somewhere somehow, you see. It's either like ilakhiwe or abantu nje kuphela abazibekele itent and then they are fellowshipping there. So like amasonto, it's something that we cannot deny ukuthi ane influence kwi society esihlala kuyo, you know. So ukuze nakhona nawo amasonto abekhona, there was a history eyayikhona because iSouth Africa mayiqala it was not a Christian nation. Masikhumbule before kufika belungu, you see, there was indlela like abobabomkhulu bethu babephila ngayo, and then kwafika belungu baza neChristianity, and then that's how CSI Christianity. So njengoba nami ngikhuluma khona la, I'm also a Christian. So mhlambe ezinye izinto mangabe ngizikhuluma zingashokha abantu acabanga ukuthi lo muntu lo engabe umKristu lo khuluma kanje about iChristianity, but it is izinto ekumele sizidiscuss because history, something about history is that history ayikuvezeli ama ideas, yabo, izinto like mhlambe bezingenzeka, ikuvezela izinto ezenzekile, yabo. So history realistic, ikubonisa into ebilapha, and then when you just have to deal nayo into yakhona as history like ikuvezela yona. So namhlanje I'm going to be talking about two Christian groups. One, the Roman Catholic Church. Two, I'm a Protestant. I think 17 October, after 2 days, there's going to be a celebration, a Protestant Reformation. Protestant Reformation was started by a guy by the name of Martin Luther. He was a fat monk. So abantu like aba fat niba basope He was a fat monk from Germany. So he started the Protestant Reformation. He was part of the Roman Catholic Church, and then he left the church to start sort of the Protestant Reformation. So ama Roman Catholics siyawazi ke wona, you see, uthi abubana abantu base Roma yabo into ezinjalo. So these are the two movements engizobe ngikhuluma ngazo namhlanje. So there's something ke bazalwane, is that Christianity is at war like South Africa. Christianity is at war like South Africa. There are many people who are opposing Christianity. In the past 10 years, I don't think there's been a more influential voice than Joshua Mamponga. There's this guy about Joshua Mamponga. He was part of the Seventh-day Adventist, and then he left the church because a believer Oguchi, the Christianity ekona kona lapha. In fact, arrest Africans, and then he went Oguchi like abe passive to oppression yama Europeans, you see. So he left the church and rebelled against the church because of yona lonto ukuthi like izinto zama Africans azihlonishwa, the way they think, the way they do things, it's not respected like emasontweni. So he left the church and then he started bashing Christianity in the plum yabo A2 and he's gaining followers, and his influence is growing with Africa yonke. So Christianity is at war, and then there are other young people. Right now, I was talking with a group of young people who have certain ideas, about Christianity, and one of them moved just straight. Christianity. It was just brought here to abusing on those abantu abamnyama, and then just nje for ukuthi isetshenziswe ukuthi like sithule, and then is control, and then is oppress. That's the reason and I told her ukuthi Christianity yasetshenziswa yona. And then there's the issue of slavery and colonialism. So khona into mhlambe like abantu abaningi abangayazi la South Africa. La South Africa kwaya kwaba khona slavery, where people were taken to Mozambique and others were taken to Cape Town, and then they were put into ships, and then batema be fagwa sanbonan, they were put into ships, and then batema be fagwa like ezgepeni. They were taken some to Brazil, others were taken to the Middle East. In the slave markets khona, you see. So we had that, and like in the tholakala ukuthi Christian churches were involved with the slave trade. At some point in time, they were leading armies to capture people, to steal children, in farms for ukuthi basetshenziswe khona lapha without any pay. And the I was reading an article, I think it was 2 years ago, in Northwest. In Northwest, there was this guy who tried like ufikathathe imoto, it's Ipunu, the guy thathe imoto, and then he will go around the villages ethembisa abantu ukuthi kukhona umsebenzi, you see. And lemethembisa abantu ukuthi kukhona umsebenzi, athatha abantwana abancane bahambe bafaka in those farms, because angithi abazali bayabanikeza ukuthi labantwana bazothola umsebenzi into ezinjalo, bafaka in those farms. Mabese bafaka in those farms, labantwana laba bayasetshenziswa lapha. Kuthiwa the sad part mangabe befika abantu bomthetho beyithola into khona, kwathola babedlisa inyama yezilwane ezifile, babehlala kabuhlungu. And this was two years ago mangabe yenzeka into khona. And into khona in a history back then ibijwayele ukwenziwa by a group that was named ama commandos, bekuyamabhunu, who would go around capturing children and then bafaka like ema farms. So that thing is still happening. And I think it was the ACDP president, I think it was 2 years ago. I still have intercon and I screenshot. He was calling for the return of our commandos. You see, so the president of the ACDP is a Christian guy, as we know, but he was calling for the return of our commandos, people who were stealing children. And these people said they were Christians. You see, so there was that. And again, what is currently happening is that young people, and especially like my universities and abawufunda like humanities, especially izinto that relates to history, philosophy, into ezinjalo, they study these things. Abanye like baya lapho uthola ukuthi umuntu like umKristu mayefika khona lapho athola ukuthi lesonto leli a part of lona isonto lakhona lalintshontsha abantu in the past, or lali-defender the apartheid system yakwento ezinjalo. So then mangiqeda kuyithola lonto iyamtrouble lonto lokuthi hayibo isonto, mina ngikhumbula like lesonto kade ngikulo iBaptist, and kwakhona abantu sasibathanda kakhulu lapha abase-Europe babebiza ukuthi ama-Puritans. Abantu bakhona into anganyazi mina ukuthi labantu laba kwakuwabantu abaholi abenza izinto kahle, like babe uNkulunkulu wayekhuluma nawo, like yazini yonke into babeyenza i-right. So ngithama ngithi ngilalela enye ingoma one time, nayo ingoma khona iculwa umKristu by igama propaganda. So mangithi ngilalela le ngoma ukhuluma ngalabo abantu ukuthi these people were chaplains on slave ships. So when people were stolen from their lands and put into these ships, so these people like babema neBhayibheli bathandazele lama slaves bawatshela ukuthi abangalwi into ezinjalo into the new world. So abantu mabentshontsha from West Africa to America, African Americans, that's how they got to America, because ba kidnapped from their own lands. So abantu babefike bazama ukuthi bame namaBhayibheli babathandazele khona lapha into ezinjalo, where these Puritans thina sathi masifunda ngabo sacabanga ukuthi there were these holy people, and into khona it's not like kwakuyinto babeyenza mhlambe lapho nalapho. This was the norm, in that society kwakuphilwa kuyo. So also probably khona la some of us are part of Roman Catholics, thina siqhamuka from Protestant. These are two powerful movements, Christian movements. Catholics, I think they are around over 1 billion emhlabeni. Protestant, they are around 800 to 1 billion in terms of membership abanayo like emhlabeni wonke. So they are very powerful Christian movements. So there's a guy bengathanda ukuthi mhlambe masiqeda la we can share mhlambe some of the materials esingayifunda, because reading is very important kulesikhathi esiphila kuso. There's a guy by Chancellor Williams. He wrote a book, The Destruction of Black Civilization. Into khona ukuthi abantu abamnyama dala, I think 500 years ago babe nama civilization. Ayithama civilization siyawazi ukuthi into enjani lesiphila kuyo le sibonayo with imoto, ama-planes, yonke lento le i-Western civilization le ephethe. You see, so even if nathi singama-Africans khona la, but isiphethwe i-Western civilization. Yabo ke le i-civilization le created abelungu. You see, so abantu abamnyama before the civilization le abelungu, they had their own civilizations. You see, and ama-civilizations wakhona introduce ezinye izinto emhlabeni. You see, for example, mining. You see, mangabe kukhulunywa nge-metallurgy into ezinjalo. I-metallurgy was born like Africa. I-architecture was born like Africa. Yabo masingabe sikhuluma nge-engineering into ezinjalo. Agriculture was born like Africa. Way before abanye like abantu bayilentuzi bayazi elentuzeni emhlabeni. I-astronomy singatsho kanjalo bebizwa ukuthi astrology dala. Yabo, the study of the universe, study of the cosmos was born like elentuzeni e-Africa. There are current people ababizwa ukuthi amaDangon, the Dangon people abase West Africa. They discovered esinye star esibizwa ukuthi Sirius B. I-star sakhona belungu basidiscover khona manje besebenzisa yabo bathi nama-telescope into ezinjalo. And those guys did not have telescope, but they managed ukuthi basazi i-star sakhona, and then ba-create a whole system ye-cosmology based on yona lonto. Even khona namanje kuyasola ukuthi this thing ye-Big Bang lefundiswa esikolweni, those guys knew it like thousands of years before yaziwe like Europe. So there were those civilization ezabantu abamnyama since sinale civilization yabelungu. So Dr. Chancellor William writes about those civilizations abantu abamnyama. But ikhona into ayishoyo ngeChristianity. Uthi Christianity was used to spread an evil agenda of conquest and the imposition of Western ideas, values, turning the African man into the image of Europe. ngisayichaza nje naleyo. And then khona omunye uRehegi naye wayumfundisi waphuma esontweni and then waqala walwa against ubuzalwane ubuKristu. Uthi ke na Christianity is the yoke of indoctrination and hypocrisy. You see, so uNtsiki Mazwai, mhlambe like siyamazi sonke, the poet, uNtsiki Mazwai uthi you cannot be an Africanist and a Christian. So Africanists were those people who were fighting for freedom yala Africa, or Steve Biko, Robert Sobukwe, yabo Nelson Mandela, those were Africanists. So uNtsiki Mazwai, you cannot be like those people who fight for freedom and then claim to be Christian. So that and Christianity isn't just hlukile, yabo. So Chancellor William talks about values and ama ideas, yabo, ukuthi like lama values nama ideas kwasetshenziswa Christianity for kwa introduce ebantwini abamnyama. Namhlanje bengikhuluma nabanye abafana khona lapha nabo bakhuluma ngandaba ukuthi banama ideas abawabambayo. Umunye la kubelieve ukuthi yena like empilweni akuna purpose, akuna meaning, yabo, umuntu just nje uyaphila. So philosophy yakhona iqhamuka le phesheya, yeah, but ilama philosophies are introduced via Western Christianity, yabo. So into khona ke ekumele sizibuze yona, bakhulume ngendaba ukuthi Christianity yasetshenziswa for yabo indaba slavery nento ezinjalo. So kumele sizibuze yona ukuthi lezi khalo zabo ingabe nazi right, ingabe lento abayisho vele ngeChristianity right. Mhlambe nje uma sihleli la sonke sizibiza ukuthi singama Christian, ingabe na lezi zinto lezi abakhala ngazo zi right na, ngabe baqinisile mabethi iChristianity vele yona promote ucindezelwa komuntu omnyama, yabo, vele iChristianity isetshenziswa for ungitshontsha abantu emhlabeni wabo. Currently bheka enye into ekhona kuthiwa la eSouth Africa abantu abamnyama bebonke behlangene, they own 14% of umhlaba, the land, 14%. Some of the land is owned by the government, the army, and most of the land is owned by white people. Probably 75 or 74% is owned by white people. So the question that you have to ask is that since abantu abamnyama, this is their own land, as sisho kanjalo, this is our own land, yabo into ezinjalo, why do we own such small land in the land of our birth? You see? And then like now the question then comes to what? Okay, asibheka ukuthi amabhunu enzani, asibheka ukuthi ama-British enzani. And then mabethi bayibheka yonke lento bathola ubuKristu bukhona around lapho. You see, khona nenye into eyenzeka in 1903 to 1905, into yakudala ke leyo. There was a commission eyabanjwa. I-commission yakhona isas-affecta namanje izinto ababezikhuluma lapho. 1903 1905 kwakune-commission eyayibizwa ukuthi SANEC, South African Native Affairs Commission. I-commission yakhona kuthiwa yayinama-missionaries ngaphakathi. Ama-missionaries wakhona kuthiwa ahlala ahamba iSouth Africa yonke for 100 years befunda abantu abamnyama indlela abacabanga ngayo, ama-practices wabo, yonke lento babafunda for 100 years. Bazithatha izinto zakhona bazicompile. And then ngo-1903 to 1905, 3 years, the commission leyihlangene kwadiscusswa ke manje ukuthi okay, since ke labantu abamnyama sibanqobile, what are we going to do with them? Yabo, kwadecidewa izinto ze-education ukuthi okay, kuzoyenziwani nge-education, kuzoyenziwani nge-labor, umsebenzi, yabo, kuzowenzani nge-land, yabo. So since lo mhlaba lo sesiwuthathile, okay ke manje sowenzani, bazohlalaphi, yabo into esenjalo. So bahlala for those years 1903 to 1905 kudiscusswa lezo zinto, and ama-missionaries were inside of that commission. And then in 1913 mangabe kuthathwa umhlaba abantu abamnyama kwafakwa emthethweni into yakhona ukuthi khona the 1913 Land Act yiyo le yenza ukuthi enye ANC ifone, because bezwa ngayo into yakhona, and then they formed the ANC. So 1913 Land Act mangabe ithathwa umhlaba was based on what was discussed in that commission. Mangabe kufaka nama Group Areas Act, apartheid, yonke lonto was based on what was discussed in that commission. You see? And then khona enye into, those people abasayina into law lento ukuthi kuthathwe umhlaba abantu abamnyama, mostly babo they were Christian, they were pastors emasontweni wabo, they were serving some role in the churches that they were part of. You see, so enye into ke there's another society ebizwa ukuthi Broederbond, an Afrikaner secret society. Secret society yakhona was the power behind apartheid. The people who formed it, most of them were pastors. You see, so labantu mabefunda zonke lezinto and then bathola lezinto lezi amaKristu, like bazibuza ukuthi kwenzakalani ngale nkolo. And thina ke since singabantu abamnyama siyayilandela inkolo yakhona, we have to do what, explain ukuthi kwenzakalani, yabona kuzo zonke lezo zinto. So there are 4 powerful Christian movements emhlabeni. Kunama Catholics as in Chile. Ama Catholics, they have over 1 billion members emhlabeni. It's the biggest church emhlabeni. And then when I'm a Protestant, they are between 800 to 1 billion yabantu. And then when the Orthodox faith, yabona Ethiopia, mangabuye Ethiopia, la sonto leli lapha Ethiopia, abizwa ukuthi ama Orthodox faith, mawuye Russia, lamasonto lawa labo baba bafike begqoke yabo izigqoko into ezinjalo impahla ezisabekayo, yeah, abizwa ukuthi ama Orthodox faith. And then kube na African initiated churches. Ama African initiated churches, yabo lamasonto esithi amasonto abazalwana, ama charismatics. Kukhona the Ethiopian Church of South Africa. Kukhona amanye amasonto aphuma from, I think, about 12 apostles, St. John's the Apostle, Oshembe, yeah, la masonto la nje yila aqalwe abantu bala elentuzini South Africa, amasonto akhona akaqalwanga abelungu bale phesheya. And then ama Protestant, you have O Baptist, O Assemblies of God, O Faith Mission, O Methodist, yabo, O Gospel, yabo, like lo full gospel. Now ama Protestant, abo Luther, yabo, ama Protestant churches. Lo masonto lawo mostly is either aqalwe ama missionaries or aqalwe umuntu oqhamuke from the missionary churches. So amasonto akhona bizwa ukuthi yini, ama Protestant amabandla khona. So now but engifuna ukufocusa kuwo ila i2, ama Roman Catholics nama Protestant. La i2 yo ke la mehlangene wo2 probably like ana 2 billion membership. I think sonke la we probably come from or si part yalo masonto, like mhlamba ana 2 billion, abantu bayingapha emhlabeni 8 billion. I think abantu bayi 8 billion emhlabeni. So lama cabanga nje la i2 nje kuphela ana 2 billion. That means kusele nje 6 billion yabantu nje kuphela abanga claim ukuthi baqhamuka from la masonto. Are powerful in terms of imali, are powerful in terms of umhlaba banawo, are powerful in terms of into eziningi. Organization yakhona inzima, yabo, amasonto akhona like anama roots ajulile, yabo. So ayakwazi ukuthi a decide ukuthi izinto zihamba kanjani emhlabeni and vele izinto zakhona zenzeke, yabo. So are powerful, very powerful. So Roman Catholic siqale khona kuyo lapho yaqala in 312 AD. So uKristu wayela emhlabeni wakhuphuka wayezulwini in 33 AD. 33 AD isikhathi sakudala. iChristianity ina 2000 years angithi ikhona in existence. So uKristu, after Kristu 33 AD Kristu angithi washona ena 33, wavuka ena 33, wakhuphuka ezulwini ena 33 years. So after yena ngithi isikhathi sisebenzisa sisibala lesikhathi esinaso si based on impilo kaKristu. Kukhona uBC, khona AD. So before Christ isikhathi sisibala kanjalo, after Christ sisebenzisa AD, you see. So after lapho in 312, so kwenzakalani khona isizwe sasibiza ukuthi iRome. iRome ile namhlanje sithi Italy, yabo kulama side ase Italy, yeah, iRome ke leyo. So uKristu mengabe ekhuphuka ezulwini utshela abapostoli ukuthi mabambe boshumayela indaba ezilungile ezizweni. Amapostoli yini? AmaJuda. Bayaphuma bahamba bayoshumayela. bayashumayela la eAfrica. Siyabona ku Acts chapter 8 lo mnubia lo kuthiwa Ethiopian uyakholwa uletha inkolo la eAfrica. Paul bahamba bayoshumayela kukhona umpostoli Paul uyaqala ufika eEurope ngomnyumama kwakuthiwa Lydia uyelo afika shumayela kuyo, the first person ukuthi like a convert lapha eEurope esimaziyo obhaliwe eBhayibhelini. And then ke umpostoli Paul noPeter bayashumayela AD 70 lapho abafa khona babulawela kuphi eRome. Babulawa yenye iking yayibizwa ukuthi uNero yayikhohlakele. Yabo. So uPeter ucrucify upside down, uPaul unqantshula ikhanda. Yonke lento le yenzeka kuphi eRome. uPaul noPeter babulawela eRome beshumayela ilento zevangeli. So into enzakalayo is that through imisebenzi yabo neminye imisebenzi yabanye amaKristu kwakhona abazalwana abavukayo eRome lendawo esithi namhlanje iItaly. See, labazalwane laba baqhubeka nomsebenzi ukuthi bashumayele ivangeli into ezinjalo, baqala nabo bapersecute, babebulawa kuthiwa like kwaku nama arena lapha landawo le yakhona. Ama arena kufana ukuthi stadium, babevele bathathwa abazalwane bakhona bafakwe lapha phakathi agcwala ama arena, mhlambe kube nabantu abayi 20,000. Emveni kokho kwenzweni kuvulelwa ama lions, badliwa amalayoni bonke abantu bebhekile behlekwa into ezinjalo. So babe persecutwa kabuhlungu abazalwane base Rome ngaleso sikhathi. So yaqhubeka into yakhona from AD 33 to 312 AD. So ukuze wazi ukuthi iminyaka engapi leyo uzominasa u312 no33 then uzothola ukuthi bapersecute for isikhathi esingakanani. But ngo AD 312 kwaba khona enye indoda evukayo igama lakhe kwakuthiwa uConstantine. Omunye lakho uzozwa mangabe kukhulunywa ngobuzalwane abantu bebugxeka into esinjalo uzozwa kukhulunywa ngayo uConstantine. uConstantine uthi waphupha, mephupha kwakuyi umuntu like naye welwa kwakuyinkosi. Yabo angithi inkosi zakudala zazaziwa ngobulu. So uthi uyaphupha, mephupha kwishield yamasotsha wakhe kunesiphambano ne drawing yesiphambano. Yabo. So uzwa ivoice imtshela ukuthi ngayo na le sign le uzokwazi ukuthi unqobe. So Constantine kuthiwa the following day or lamalanga alandelayo watshela ukuthi okay maku onke ama shield akenziwe like isiphambano, and then bathe mabe empini bayiwina impi yakhona. Uthe mebuya ke manje uConstantine wabona ukuthi okay kushuthi uKristu onginikeze le victory le. Waqala ke manje wayiphelisa indaba ukuthi kupersecute amaChristians. So in 312 wayiyekisa ke into yakhona. AmaKristu ke manje aqala ke akhululeke. Yabo aqala ke manje ahlonishwe eRome. Baqala ke manje kwaba yibo ke manje abakhulu. Yabo wabathatha wababeka le phezulu. Bathe mabele phezulu baqala ke manje nawo amaKristu ke bapersecute abantu. Ukuthi hayi phela kudala silowo sihlukumezeka. So kwaqala bona ke ukuthi ke manje sebegijimisa abantu. So noba seke washona uConstantine kwaba nabanye abantu lakhe abalandelayo. So like kwaba kwakuukuthi eRome ukuze la kube inkosi yakho ehloniphekayo kwakumele like ube umKristu in some ways. Yabo. So amakhosi wakhona wonke aqala ke manje embrace like iChristianity into ezinjalo. So iRome kwenzeka ngokuthi around nge 500 AD into ezinjalo ya invadewa abanye abantu kanje. AmaGermans kwangase amaKristu bathe mabe invade ama tribes wale Germany, they destroyed izinto eziningi, but athe mayisengena now but iRome sort of like yangathi phelelwa amandla. Yabo amaGermans they took over, and then kwafika iIslam nge 1800 AD. That's like close to 1200 years ago. Ya invade nayo eEurope. Yabo. And then kunale period ebizwa ukuthi iMiddle Ages. Yabo. So lapho ke isonto laseRome elaliphethe Europe yonke. Kwangene alikho elinye isonto lalikhona except for isonto eli1 ileli. But kwenzeka something ukuthi in 1045 kwaba khona elinye isonto eliqhephukayo laya Eastern Europe kwaba ne-Western Europe. Eastern Europe siyazi ukuthi Poland yabo, Czechoslovakia into ezinjalo, and then Western Europe Germany, Britain into ezinjalo. So wonke lo mazwe ayephethwe iRome since from mhlambe for 1000 years ane ayephethwe ilelo sonto. So naye into enzakalayo ke babe ngabe bephethwe ilelo sonto nge-1400s andithi manje isonto eliphethe lapha eEurope konke, and then khona ezinye indawo ezingenelelwe ama-Muslims ane abantu bakhona babebiza ukuthi ama-Moors kwakuyini abantu abamnyama behlangane nama-Arabs. Abantu abamnyama bakuphi abanye abantu abamnyama bakhona baqhamuka ku-Sudan, Egypt, Morocco, West Africa, bahlangana nama-Arabs baba into eyi-1 baye-Europe bafike bayo invade iSpain, bangenelela iPortugal, bayibusa for 750 years yaba under yona, but ezinye indawo zabe ziphethwe like iRome. So kwenzeka something nge-1400s, that's like 600 years ago. Kwashada omunye usisi weyibiza ukuthi Isabella, iprincess yase-Spain, nomunye ubaba kwakuthiwa uFerdinando ane. So umshado wabo akwazi ukuthi uhlanganise umphakathi loya, and lo mphakathi lo still usase under inkolo yakhona oyiphethe yamaKristu. Angithi ama-Muslims ayithi mengena ayengakunyanzeli ukuthi okay utshintshe inkolo yakho into ezinjalo, as long as nje bona bezoba lapha at the top wawuqhubeka upractice iChristianity yakho, and iChristianity ayipracticewa ngaleso sikhathi ile yayi under iRoma. So Ferdinando no Isabella bashada, bahlanganisa abantu, bathe uma behlanganisa abantu bawagxotha ke lama-Africans nama-Arabs bawakhipha elentuzeni eSpain. Portugal le Cristiano Ronaldo ayidlalelayo nayo yaqala nayo yaphakama yabo, balwa against laba bantu babakhipha. So nayi lapho ke manje lo mhlaba lo esiubonayo currently, mhlaba wonke whether uye China uye America or kuphi, lo mhlaba lo esiubonayo wakhiwa yiloma events. Kulapho ke ekuye kwaba ne turning point emhlabeni in the 1400s. So into enzakala is that iPortugal neSpain, lama countries ayenqotshwe yilama Africans nama-Arabs, ayaqala ke manje bayaphakama. Mabephakama kanjalo amaRoma ndithi yeah bayalwa, bayabagxotha laba bantu abaye babacindezela for 750 years, bayabakhipha elentuzeni ePortugal, bayabakhipha eSpain. Lama-Africans la abuyela la eAfrica, amanye ama-Arabs abuyela leku kwabo. So baqala ke manje laba bantu bangena kwi-education, bekha like ama-ships yabo, bafunda ngama-maps, bafunda ngomhlaba. Earlier on baye badiscover i-gunpowder eChina for ukuthi balungise ibhamu yabo. Baqala ke manje bazilungiselela for ukuthi benzeni, bathathe umhlaba. So ama-Portuguese, yes boy, ama-Portuguese aqala bona baphuma bangena eMorocco, bafike bathatha indawo. Since baye bezwa about inkosi yala eAfrica kwakuthiwa uMansa Musa, mangakucheke even namanje kwi-internet, the richest person oke waphila emhlabeni uMansa Musa. The guy was so rich in terms of gold, ikingdom yakhe yayinkulu yabo. So they had heard about uMansa Musa, this black emperor, this black king eyase West Africa. Le ndawo le wayibusa modern day, I think Ghana yabona, ikingdom yakhe wayirule. So they wanted to come there bazobheka ukuthi okay ingabe na iqiniso sifuna ukuzobheka le ndawo ekuthiwa i-rich ngegold. And so bafika ama-Portuguese afike West Africa, chama efika lapha aqala like in terms of nge-trade yabo, a trader nama-Africans into ezinjalo, beletha ama-spices yabo, mhlamba ama-clothes, utshwala yabo, mhlambe ne-salt yabo, and then ba-trade in terms of ilento zi-gold, iy'ncwadi, because e-West Africa kuthiwa zazithandwa iy'ncwadi nakhona. So kwakunalo trade yabona in the early 1400s. iSpain sona naso sasifuna ukuthi saya le in the Americas yabona ko Brazil izinto ezinjalo naso siyofuna ukuthi sicheck ukuthi kwenzakalani laba bantu laba phela manje sebenezikepe bayakwazi ukuhamba like olwandle yabo baya understand ama maps ukuthi operate kanjani they are now beginning to be smart yabo like labelungu labakhona so kodwa into eyenzeka is that ama Portuguese asecircumnavigator umhlaba especially Africa yonke bayijikeleza ngalezi zikepe lezi zakhona in the 1480s bafika la eSouth Africa mangake ufunde ihistory la eSouth Africa the first white people to come la eSouth Africa kwangasuku Jan van Riebeeck kwakwama Portuguese omunye ubhuti babethi ubaba uBartholomew Diaz yes wafika in the 1400s and then 10 years later kwaza uVasco da Gama you see ama Portuguese oqala ukuthi afike la bathe mabefika khona la bathola ama ancestors wethu the Khoi people not Khoi Khoi people not Khoi lento le ama Khoi le ize nabelungu into enga exist yabo the Khoi people yibo bafike babathola khona lapho and then they traded they fought some wars yabo they were defeated bahamba so ama Portuguese now ke into khona sebeyena baya na ku Asia into ezinjalo sebe understand ukuthi umhlaba ume kanjani and ebheka ke laba bantu ama Christ na into kumele nje siloko sikhip but ba ama Christ they come from Christian nations so in 1450s uyale phambili khona into eyenzeke eAfrica and lonto leyo iproblem asithi ke manje West Africa siyalwa yabona ama kingdoms ayalwa ikingdom yakini nekingdom yasekhaya yahluleka ikingdom uyazi into eyenzeka ukuthini le yakini babezosithatha basenze ama slaves but islavery sakhona sasenjani kwakukuthi uzosebenza for isikhathi esithize maseqeda bakukhiphe yabo and ngalesi sikhathi sinisebenzele kuzomela nisifide kuzomela nisinike umhlaba kuzomela nisiphathe kahle but obvious sobe sinisebenzele after masekuphela leso sikhathi kuzomela nina abakini babheke indlela ukuthi basi-integrate kwi-society so that sihlangane sibe abantu abayi-one yabo so islavery sase-West Africa sasenzeka kanjalo so kuthema sekufika ama-Portuguese ama-kings wala e-Africa aqala ke manje athi ama-Portuguese athi okay wangavele usithengisele bona laba bantu because if uyabagcina they are costly kuwe yabo so thina sithengisele bona so ama-African kings they were like okay yeah because into akhona izomsiza because mengabe wagcinile ama-slave kumele awafeed so they are costly kuye so athengisela ama-Portuguese because in his mind he's thinking ukuthi no ama-Portuguese they will do as we do you see like bazobathatha laba bantu work for a certain time and then babakhulule baba-integrate yabo so they are bona baba-viewer based on the way bona benza izinto ngakhona but ama-Portuguese they had other plans. They took these Africans, first of all, okay, but mangabe yenzeka. They took these Africans to Portugal, some of them to the Americas, like, okay, at the start, because you could get freedom, you see. And then, I'm a Spanish now, they went to South America, and then they were also getting slaves. But manje, the industry is profitable. How about we keep these people forever? Okay, so as they were busy taking people belenduze, so ama Spanish nama Portuguese ayiloke shayisana yabona elokelwa among themselves and also they were fighting over a territory. So they decided to go back home ukuthi indawo yakhona iyolungiswa. And then there was a pope by the name of Pope Alexander. We search the papal bull of 1453. If like we search into akhona. What was happening in that papal bull, the papal bull of 1453? Into eyenzeka in that papal bull, so the Spanish and the Portuguese bahlaliswa phansi. Kwathiwa okay. Angathi niyalwa ngalezi zinto okay. Akumelanga niyenze into khona, mele like sisolve into khona. But okay. Sinikeza imvume yokuthi okay, ofike eqala kwi territory eso. The territory le kuzoba yakhe. You see, so go to that territory, mawufikile pha yakho, yabo. And then bathi ke na into ebhlungu yabona mawuyifunda ipaper bull leyakhona lapha especially ekugcineni ikhuluma lapha ngokuthi nivumelekile ukuthi ningenza noba yini kulabo bantu enibatholayo kulezo ndawo. Nenza noba yini yabo sinikeza la kumthetho ukuthi yonke into eniyifunayo ningakhululeka niyenze. You see, and this was taken out by Pope Alexander in 1453. We found the papal bull yakhona. We check introduction yakhona. Introduction yakhona qala khulume ngoNkulunkulu ngokuthi bona ba ama representative kaNkulunkulu into ezinjalo. And then at the end there kulapho ke manje khuluma ngokuthi banikeza imvume that they can do noba yini abayifunayo in those territories ababakwe. And lento le yenzeka kuphi eEurope ayenzeki la eAfrica. And then from lapha ama Portuguese, that's where they went in. I think 2 days ago we celebrate Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was the first white person to cross the Atlantic in the Americas. Wafika lapho wathola ama indigenous Indians. Yabona America ibijwayele ukuba nama indigenous Indians who were dark skinned, but khona manje mawuthi uyawabheka like sort of like bafana nabelungu. Because what mayifika lapho Christopher Columbus, he destroyed those people. But like mangabe ibhekwe number khona probably he killed 12 million yalaba bantu. Like the Portuguese and the Spanish. Into abayenza ukuthi ayinto ifuna like igolide. So you had to go dig for gold and then ubuye nalo. If ubuye ungaphathanga next, you probably had your hands cut off or sometimes your head cut off. So 12 million of those indigenous Indians died. So population yabo ya decrease bebabulala even nangama nangeyigulu khona lento le kwakuthiwa babefaka ama bathi lezo zigulo lezi khona babethini konje lamazigulo lezo zigulo lezi babesifaka engubeni bafake lezo zigulo mabefaka lezo zigulo banikeza ingubo nina nithathe lezo ngubo ngicabanga ukuthi labantu laba basenzela umusi kanti it carries ama diseases ama smallpox kanti it carries ama diseases and then that's how those people were killed. So ithe population yabo mangabe yehla babona ukuthi manje sisenabo abantu abazosebenzela. We need more Africans. You see, they went back home to the church to ask for permission to take more Africans in West Africa, Baba say America, so that they can go work for them there. That's how the slave trade, the Africa, yakula. And then from there they took more Africans. My balo in number corner, probably 20 million Africans were taken. Kambe abanye like 8 or so died in the sea. 12 million reached America. And others were taken to all South America. And then Ama Muslims also, they took maybe like 10 million Africans before Ama Europe to a Middle East. You see? So Londo leo yenzeka under the name Christian. And then when they were taking these Africans, to this so-called New World, that was happening in the 1400s, 1500s, and into this so-called New World. Mabefika khona lapho because babethukile ukuthi these people might rise and then fight against us. Lonto le yenzeka in many cases. There were even kingdoms that ama Africans formed outside there because ukuthi balwe nalabo bantu. So lonto le babeyisaba. So singenza kanjani ukuthi senze sure ukuthi si lala like isirelaxile. Abantu laba like abazulwa against him. Iplan level. Oh yes, nali plan. What missionaries? My missionaries were sent there ukuthi like bahambe bayothambisa laba bantu, and iBhayibheli lasetshenziswa ngenye indlela sazokhuluma ngayo into akhona the way babelisebenzisa ngakhona to make sure ukuthi like abantu like bayathuka, they don't fight against these people. Okay, that's the side, the Roman Catholic Church. Just to summarize also a side, the Protestant, liyafana nalo. Ama Protestant aqala nini kahle 1517. Nge-17 zika October kuzobe celebrate the Protestant Reformation. Mina ngiphuma under ama Protestant, but okay, I've left in those circles. Into enzakalayo ukuthi ama Protestant aqala by this fat monk benikhuluma ngayo uMartin Luther. So abantu like abanonile bafasop. So iqala by this fat monk uMartin Luther otroublwa izono zakhe, yabo. So metroublwa izono zakhe uyahamba uyofunda something. Okay, esontweni kwakuthiwa like khona izinto kumele uzenze, yabo. Mangabe ufuna ukuthi yabo uxolelwe into ezinjani, yabo. Ya ubhatala izinto ezithize, khona izinto kumele uzithenge, kumele uphatheke lapha nalapha. So Martin Luther wathola ukuthi no, yena mengabe efunda iBhayibheli wathola ukuthi hayi iBhayibheli lithi uNkulunkulu like njengomusa, umusa wakhe uyakwazi ukuthi uxolelwe. And then from lapho waqala iProtestant Reformation ngokuthi alwe nesonto, yabo. Walwa nalo isonto lakhona waphuma, and then he started a whole movement okwakuthiwa iProtestant Reformation. Ukufunde nje ngayo iProtestant Reformation ke kuthe makuvela yona hayi nayo yavele yenza worse. Yabona i-Roman Catholic Church yayenza na into zayo but yayingcono. Protestant Reformation just became worse. They built izikepe ezazisheshayo, yabo. Izikepe zakhona zazidlula la ezePortugal neSpain ezabo zazishesha, yabo. Zazothatha abantu khona manje zibasheshisa zibafikise quickly lapha babefika ukuthi baphathe khona. And then bona ke basanctionwa uQueen Elizabeth I. I-Anglican, are you familiar with the Anglican Church? Yeah, mhlambe like the Anglican. Anglican just means England State Church. Isonto lakhona laqalwa umunye ubaba uHenry VIII. uHenry VIII khona kushuthi wayenalo siso eshade naye, ane. So wengasamfuni lo siso eshade naye, wayefuna ukushada omunye. And then mayifuna ukushada omunye uya ku Pope uyocela ukuthi bamnikeze imvume ukuthi a divorce. Pope uthi no, iBhayibheli alikuvumela ukuthi udivorce. You know, you can't divorce. Hayi lo vele wabona angithi manje yonke into kwakumele wawuzoyenza kwakumele ucele ya ku Pope. So Pope wayala ukuthi no, le divorce asizikunikeza yona, iBhayibheli alikuvumela ukuthi divorce. Wathi hayi ke ngiyabheda zoziqalele lami isonto, yabo. Wahamba ke oziqalele lakhe. Anglican was formed through yona lonto. The Anglican Church yaqalwa umuntu wayefuna ukudivorce unkosikazi wakhe wanganikezwa imvume, and so decided ukuthi okay hayi ke mina ke ngizohamba ngeqale lami lapho engizoshawa wami umthetho so that ngizokwazi ukudivorce. That's how the Anglican was started, and the Anglican Church is one of the biggest churches in South Africa, you see. And that's how they started. Earned nabo ke quick bangena kwi-slave trade under Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth I. uQueen Elizabeth I wakhuluma nenye indoda babethi John Hawkins, indoda ehlonishwa kakhulu lapha eEngland, ukuthi first of all wayengathi akayiqondi kahle lento le-slavery. uJohn Hawkins wathatha isikepe waye West Africa, wathatha 300 Africans wahamba ubathengisa eAmerica, wabuye nemali eningi. Hayi wayijabulela uQueen Elizabeth I ukuthi iningi le mali, then honorisha ngokuthi amnikeze enye emblem yakhona uyicheke mawufunda ngale ndoda John Hawkins. Emblem yakhona la phezulu an enslaved African yenziwe kahle emblem yakhona, then la phezulu kwabekwa Africa obanjwe ngama chains, yabo. Kushuthi wemnikeza imvume yokuthi okay yazini qhubeka wenze lento le. uJohn Hawkins ke naye into ehlekisayo, isikepe wayithatha izilave ngaso, guess ukuthi asibizwane Jesus, isikepe sakhona. So like izinto lezo zenzeka shuthi lento le kwangasiyinto ukuthi okay, yabo, that was normal, yabo. And then from lapho kwenziwa kwathathwa iBhayibheli lalungiswa ngendlela ethize so that likwazi ukuthi livumele lento. So khona izinto ezakhiwa just nje ukuthi ngisheshise ukuthi ngivale. Khona izinto ezakhiwa, khona enye i-teaching eyayifundisa about the pre-Adamic race, ane. Pre-Adamic race. Mawufunda iBhayibheli uGenesis chapter 1 verses 26 to 28, uphinde ufunde iBhayibheli uGenesis chapter 2, ane. kubukeka as if lapha engathi kunabantu aba different uNkulunkulu abadalile. Genesis chapter 1, 28 ukhuluma about uNkulunkulu wenza man, woman in his image, waba bless into ezinjalo. And then ku chapter 2 sitshelwa ngoAdam. So umbuzo ukuthi ingabe uAdam lo Genesis chapter 1 28 or story ka Adam siqala ku chapter 2. So that means kunabantu aba created before Adam. You see, so ibukeka kanjalo manga uyifundi. So babona bafundisa ukuthi yebo bakhona abantu abadalwe before Adam, and laba bantu laba they were not full humans. And then kulapho ke abantu abamnyama abaqhamuka khona. The churches used to believe ukuthi abantu abamnyama abanamphefumulo. So umuntu omnyama mengaba akanamphefumulo. So that means ufana nesilwane. uNkulunkulu akazukujaja for ukuthi one time uke wahlinza inkukhu uke wabulala lambuzi. You are not going to be judged for that because azinamphefumulo, in the sense ukuthi yabo umuntu ziyakhuluma yabo into ezinjalo. Yeah, so mawubulala inkukhu uNkulunkulu akazukujaja for lonto. So abantu abamnyama they were said to be animals. So yonke into oyenza kuye uNkulunkulu will not judge you, because these are not human. You see, that's how the scripture was twisted. And then kwaba nenye doctrine yokubiza ukuthi the mark of Cain. uKain angithi siyazi ukuthi wenobhuti wakho Abel, and then uKain killed uAbel. Uthemese ebulala uAbel, uNkulunkulu wambhaqa. Uthemese embhaqa kanjalo, there was a judgment uNkulunkulu aye wayikhipha, and then uKain wathi like this is too much for me ukuthi I can bear. Abantu bazothi mabenibona bafuna ukunibulala, wathi uNkulunkulu there's going to be a mark ezobekwa kuwe, so that like wonke umuntu ozozama ukuthi like athathe vengeance kuwe is going to be punished, I think 10 times more. So but that mark of Cain is black skin. You see, that was the second one. The third one was the curse of Ham. Mawufundu Genesis 10, you are told it's after the flood. Mawufundu Genesis 10, you are told about Noah. After the flood, Genesis chapter 7, after Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth. Shem is the father of the Semites, Jews, Arabs, and certain Indians. Khona nabantu abamnyama who are also Semites, abase Ethiopia, into ezinjalo. And then Ham, abantu abamnyama they come from Ham. Egypt, kwakuyizwe labantu abamnyama. Sudan, izwe labantu abamnyama. Somalia, izwe labantu abamnyama. Libya, kwakuyizwe labantu abamnyama. So that's where thina siqhamuka khona. We are Hamites. And then ama-Japheths abelungu, bonke abelungu abasemhlabeni baqhamuka from uJapheth. So uHam khona into ayenza ngobaba wakhe Noah edakiwe. So Noah lala I think enqunu, and then uthe uHam engena endlini wabona ubaba wakhe enqunu kuthiwa wahleka, wabiza obufuthu bakhe ukuthi uzanizobona ukuthi ubaba kwenzakalani. So uNoah utheme esephaphama because uyedakiwe, wathi mawufunda iBhayibheli curse be Canaan. But zangathi curse became Ham, curse became Canaan. Canaan was one of the sons baka Ham owakheso. The current nation Israel lapho ikhona kwakumhlaba kaHam. Kwakumhlaba kaCanaan, one of the sons baka Ham. The early sea navigators sasemhlabeni, abantu bokuqala bokuzula umhlaba wonke. Some of the alphabets esiwasebenzisayo come from the Canaanites. You see, so these were black people. So curse be Canaan. Then bona bathi no, the curse there was to Ham. So bonke abantu abamnyama they are cursed. So umsebenzi wethu as the Semites and the Japheths, especially abelungu, is to enslave these people. And then there was also the fourth one. There were others, but the fourth one, the Christian law of nations. Amabhunu mengabefika la, amabhunu, do you know, even today manga we in the Dutch Reformed Church, they believe ukuthi the land South Africa is their land, just like Israel was given that nation from the Canaanites. So bona they are given this nation by uNkulunkulu. In fact, they are like the Jews here. South Africa is theirs, given by God. Benza uNkulunkulu, benza covenant uNkulunkulu. Le South Africa yabo. That's why ama-Jews amabhunu eyilwela kanje South Africa. They will kill you for South Africa. because they believe ukuthi this is their land. So it's the promised land abayinikezwe uNkulunkulu. So the law of Christian nation, so if a Christian nation comes into a certain area, therefore that land kuzomele ibeke cross, and then that land belongs to that nation. You see, British also now, they believed, British, they were once one of the greatest empire in history. They ruled the 7 seas. They were so powerful, those people. They were all over. They were all over. Yibo futhi aba-enda slavery. Yabo. So babekutshela ukuthi kumele wenzeni, and these were Protestant nations. So British nabo, they believed ukuthi hey, uNkulunkulu has chosen us. We are the chosen nation emhlabeni wonke to bring civilization and Christianity to the world. Yabo. So uNkulunkulu usikhethile, usibusisile ukuthi kumele sihambe sigcwala umhlaba wonke, sithathe umhlaba wabo and then civilize these heathens. Sizilethe ku-Christianity, and then we give them a civilization yase-Europe or yase-Britain. That's what they believe, and then they went into the world. Umthetho wakhona ubizwa ukuthi law of Christian nation. I think I saw a video one time of an indigenous Indian woman laba base-America ekhuluma on another show, ekhuluma ngendaba ukuthi ucela ukuthi Europe ku reverse lo mthetho because that law still applies. The people who own most of the land like South Africa are Anglicans. The Oppenheimers, the Ruperts, okay, the Oppenheimers especially, who are the richest family la elentuzeni in South Africa, they own most of the land, and they are Anglicans. You see, so Tina like South Africa were conquered by both Dutch Anglicans, Calvinist and Calvinist. Yeah, but Anglican, English State Church. So the Dutch were vicious. Now they believed we were descendants of Satan. Now in the these things, they are still in existence. That's why like they are still at the bottom of everything else, because you have those people who are at the top who believe these things. And currently they are rejecting Christianity because of these things. You see, I think there was this, I think Siakolis, when he got married to that lady, Rachel, was other Amapun, this is against the law of God. This is against the law of God. And in a few years ago, so God sent abantu like abazikholwayo lezo zinto about themselves. I remember debating with another old man about Protestantism. When you are fighting against the movement of God, Protestantism was the movement of God. So in the corner, I think it's either mhlambe siyaphuma in these circles yinto khona, or else if like abantu abamnyama bahleli lapha, they have to change these circles. They have to change the way theology yenziwa ngakhona. That's why like in Ndiyithanda indaba yama, there were those churches started by Africans. Those churches, to some extent, even though khona izinto right, but to some extent, bazamile ukuthi ba-integrate ispirit somuntu omnyama, yabo, and then basihloniphe in that sense ukuthi sibe kwi-context ye-Christianity, yabo. So na into khona ukuthi uNkulunkulu yonke lenyakanyako engayivumi, yiyo nje kuphela into khona. Yonke lento le yayenzeke eEurope ngalesa sikhathi uNkulunkulu engayivumi. So ke manje ukuthi wayekuphi enzani, that's a talk for another day. Ukuthi okay, if we were suffering ngalendlela, where was God? Why was God not stopping these people? That's a talk for another day. But into khona siyaziyo ukuthi uNkulunkulu wayengayivumi into khona, and uNkulunkulu unendlela asebenza ngakhona. uNkulunkulu can leave nations ukuthi benze into ezithize, and then when uNkulunkulu punishes those nations, uyazisusa in the face of the earth. Khona manje like probably who even knows ukuthi iBhayibheloni kuphi. No one knows ukuthi iBabylon ikuphi, iAssyria ukuthi kuphi. The Canaanites themselves ababe sacrifice abantu bethatha abantwana bebaphosela emlilweni. You know, beba sacrifice to the god Molech. No, usazivumela ukuthi zi-exercise their arrogance into ezinjalo. So that mangabe ufunda like kuRomans uthi uNkulunkulu ekhuluma ngoFaro ukuthi ngikuvumele ukuthi ukhule. Yabo? Ukwenzela ukuthi kufikelele lesikhathi, ukwenzela ukuthi ngenzeni ngibonakalisa igama lami ngawe. You see? Can you imagine like iline kaFaro? Like obaba omkhulu bakhe obanibani bakhe uNkulunkulu enza sure ukuthi le line le mele ihambe so that kuzovela this individual, and then from this individual ebezo demonstrate to all other nations ukuthi ubani. You see, just because uNkulunkulu uthulile kwezinye isikhathi izinto ziyenzeka doesn't mean ukuthi uNkulunkulu akayiboni into khona. You see, and currently as you see in Europe there's a threat of World War III, nuclear weapons abazolwa ngazo. They love war, so uNkulunkulu uzobanikeza wona. Probably World War I, World War II, where over 100 million people died. That was a warning. But still, this nation, they continue oppressing other people in the face of the earth. That's why uNkulunkulu today ebanikeza the threat of nuclear war. And if lempile ingaliwa, many people are going to die seriously because the weapons that people have are so deadly. And when umhlaba esiphila kuwo is so deadly. And to tell you the honest truth, ukuzufikelele kule ndlela leyo ngakhona, European Christianity had something to do nalonto, because of the current world that European Christianity created, slavery, and then slavery moved toward capitalism. Currently we are working under a capitalist system. Yabo? So you are working hard, and who knows ukuthi like at the end of your life usazobunazo lezi zinto nazo. Because the system is just unpredictable. Yabo? So it's controlled by abanye abantu abalekude ongabazi nokuthi obani, but they control everything. Yabo? There was this thing ekenzeka abayibize ukuthi accounting irregularities into ezinjalo. That guy who stole billions, you know, zemali zabantu, and then they just say so anything can happen in this system. But into khona ukuthi uNkulunkulu is sovereign. Into khona ukuthi abantu abamnyama probably they were supposed to be done right now. Bekumele nje kuphelile ngathi, but you are still in existence, and esibaningi futhi ukubonisa ukuthi uNkulunkulu unendlela zakhe la asebenza ngakhona. Even ngakufunde ngama genocides akomithu. You know, mabefika la eSouth Africa, these nations especially nama missionaries, the South African kings in the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, kwaliwa lapha for 100 years. War, like 9 major wars, like kuliwa into engapheli. Mawuya KZN kwakuliwa into engapheli. Mawuya eLesotho kwakuliwa into engapheli. Mawuya eLimpopo kwakuliwa into engapheli. Those guys trying to protect their own people, and then at the end of it zazigcina izinto ngama genocide ile uvela ubulala abantu abaningi ngesikhathi esiyi1. Yabo? That's what those guys did. And then from lapho kwakuthunyelwa ama missionaries. Ama missionaries, what were they supposed to do? To help black people to accept their oppression. So abantu abamnyama, that's where we are now. We have accepted okay, the system is just like that, and there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, ichingphele khona lapho, but into ngifuna ukuyitsho ukuthi the current attitudes towards Christianity sazobona mangabe lokukhuluma ngabantu, the way like uKristu bengakufuni ngakhona is influenced by this kind of a history. So khona manje there probably is an opportunity to create a different history from yona le ezokwazi ukuthi celebrate in the next 20 years engagcwalanga oppression. Yabona, because this kind of Christian history igcwele like oppression. Today they are going to be in the 17th of October, they are going to be celebrating these wicked men, yabona, like who in fact promoted our oppression. But they were involved. There were some white people who fought, in fact, to try to, and some of them were even killed by those white people. You know, they were, for example, the Roman Catholic Church, you're like against the apartheid government, mangabi khuluma ngesegregation. Roma yathi yona izuyenza lonto. Yabo? They were like, no, thina sizuyilalela lonto. And then they fought against the apartheid government. But at the end of the day, because that was the system, they had to yield to certain things, you see. And then there were another guy, or nakhona famous, owasiza ukuthi kuphele ilentuza islavery. Naye wafa inhliziyo yakhe ibhlungu. Uthe umsebenzi wakhe mawuphumelela kwangena icolonialism. Khona manje se-under i-neocolonialism. I-colonialism ile ukuthi abelungu bayafika endaweni balethe i-population yabelungu and then bayi-exploit lo area for i-economy yabo. Yabo ukuthi bathole i-neocolonialism kwenzakalani, bavele babeke umuntu omnyama and they continue with the same system. Yabo. So under lezo zinto, and ake manje obvious uNkulunkulu hates oppression. Mawufunda uIsaiah, ufunde nje uIsaiah, ufunde uJeremiah, ufunde the minor prophets. God hates oppression ngenye indlela enzima. Yabo, he hates it. uIsaiah naye wakhuluma against the oppression to the extent he was also killed for yona lonto. Wathola umuntu lo wathi mengabe ebulawa uIsaiah wabulawa between the altars. That's how wicked those guys who were oppressing the people of Israel were. Between the altars, when you shed blood khona lapho. So ilezo zinto esiphuma, and kwesinye isikhathi ubone like abantu abamnyama becabanga ngendlela ethize. Uzibuza why singabantu abamnyama siso is this kind of history. Abantu abaningi sebelime, especially abantu abadala, you know, they were brutalized by the system. Yabona, brutalized by abantu education, brutalized by apartheid system into ezinjalo. So ibalimaze ingqondo, yabo. Kwesinye isikhathi uthola ukuthi even nathi njengoba sesiphila khona manje, in some ways we are still khona into esihlale sikhuluma noBhuti Shaba ukuthi I think thina laba abadala abantu like guys khawatshekile khona manje kumele senzeni sisebenze ngabantwana, because once wangena in the education system, like in the education system you don't hear any awuzwa nje ngabantu abamnyama lapha. Like most of the time the history books, like ama sections amaning, they are dedicated to those guys bangani abantu abamhlophe. Like why? You say Africa, now why will you be teaching about guys esingabazi, you know, uHitler uzosenzelani uHitler, yabo. So kunalezo zinto, but at least thina like emasontweni whether kuphi emsebenzini into ezinjalo, but you understand ukuthi kulo mhlaba esiphila kuwo khona manje and uNkulunkulu uyawunyanya. So mangabe unyanya uNkulunkulu nathi kuzomela so reject. So that's why senza lezi zinto lezi ukuthi sikale lama organization, because sizama ukuthi at least in some ways abantu abamnyama like bavuke ba understand ukuthi kwenzakalani. You can't be ukuthi uNkulunkulu unikeza umhlaba, unikeza ama resources phansi komhlaba, and then you yasizoze sifa abanye bethu bengazi nokuthi gold ilinjani malithathwa like lapha emhlabeni. But umhlaba wakini, like uNkulunkulu gave you everything, and then after that you find people still blaming God for like uNkulunkulu ukuphila izinto, but when you are still blaming God ukuthi hey why ngihluphekile, why kwenzakalani, yabo. So ilezo zinto, but yeah ithi pheze khona lapho angazi ukuthi kukhona nama questions into esinjalo ngizoma khona lapho yabo. Sibonge. Yeah.